Very good morning to everybody. Happy to have you with us. We're having a special non-farm payroll session today. We're watching, well, not necessarily non-farm payroll. This is just simply U.S. and Canadian employment numbers, and should be should be an active situation here. So we're looking forward to that. Lots of good people on with us today. Hello, Stephen. Good to see you. And Mel, Jim, Anton. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. Great to have you. Kevin and Kieran. Welcome, Kieran. John, George. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. George can't hear anything. Darn it. There we go. Hey, Gerhard. Nice to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see here. Okay, so what we're here for, guys, is we're going to watch this whole situation right here. We're going to see where things go, see how things play out. Canadian employment change, Canadian unemployment rate, average earnings in the U.S., and unemployment, job creation and unemployment rate in the U.S. as well. So this is always a tricky one. We've got quite a bit. Of potentially conflicting news on a couple of different pairs. So we're trying to kind of just look and see what might give us some good, steady, consistent movement. As I mentioned, hey George, hopefully it's working for you now. As I mentioned in the email that I sent out, inviting everybody to this event, I don't always, sometimes I do, but I don't always try to take a live trade during the news, right? But I definitely use the news as a great opportunity to say, here's the trades we're pushing for. Here's what we want to see happen. And we've definitely got a couple of those trades and a couple of those opportunities in the works right now. So as you guys know, we have lots of visitors. I actually have two trade groups. We have one trade group that focuses on basically scanner setups only. For those of you that have the Forex scanner or have heard of it or are using it currently, I have a group that focuses on those trades, and we've had some great success. And then I have my group that I've had for a very long time, which is my premium trade group, and we trade a lot of longer term, bigger setups, grab some great profits. So we're going to talk about a few of the setups from kind of each and either, and we'll discuss some of the details about all of those. So with the news coming though, in just a little bit less than 10 minutes, a few pairs that I'm looking for and looking at specifically. One that has particularly plagued my soul here, that I've tried to get into a couple of times and just kind of have, it's done a little bit for us. Hasn't done anything bad for us, so that's good. Is the Eurodollar. I'm super interested in this Eurodollar. There's not a lot of buying interest for the Eurodollar. There's a lot of kind of sideways activity, and just this thing drops more than it goes up. It would appear, but I think the Eurodollar is going to be a good play for us, and it's definitely a trade that I want to get into. We really have a whole slew of upper targets on Eurodollar, so missed pivots and market imbalances and all kinds of things up here above, and there's nothing that interesting down below. Now we do have a nice little missed pivot all the way over here at 10800. That might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? Totally possible. But beyond that, there's not really much in the way of what the Eurodollar, could be looking to hunt out in the dip. Now, I will admit, one thing on Euro pairs that I've been watching is, we had a gap back here in this was some election stuff, I think. It's kind of escaping my memory, but most Euro pairs have a little gap somewhere back here in April of a couple of years ago, and so there's a couple of vulnerable situations down here on Eurodollar and some of the other Euro pairs, but for the most part, we have excellent upper targets that I think are going to be interesting for buying Eurodollar. So that's kind of where I think we're headed. Let's see. P says he has no sound. Is somebody else? Is everyone else hearing things okay? Everything else? Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Jim. Good. Okay, so Eurodollar is interesting. I like it. It's good. Um, everything is just giving us some good potential in this Eurodollar. So basically, what I want to see happen here is I want to see if we can get maybe potentially a little dip. One thing that has been happening with dollar pairs, especially during this, U.S. employment news and so on, the dollar's not really reacting so much to employment numbers. That's a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 15 or 20 pip spike either direction. But obviously, that's not a major move, right? So if we got a little bit of a spike down, I would probably be inclined to start looking at scaling into a trade like this. If we get this down, somewhere into the 11200, we're just sitting here at 112.30, so we're not too far off from there. I think if we got something like that, then we could start to see this thing running up into the 113 area. So probably exclusively as far as dollar pairs go, I think I'm looking at Eurodollar to give us an excuse, give us a reason to start buying into this pair and trading it up towards all these targets. We've got a missed pivot or just a monthly pivot up here at 112.80, great little target. Weekly pivot up here at 113.40 with the market imbalance creeping around in there. And we've got another market imbalance type level up here around 113.60. So if we get this down around the 11200 area again, I think we've got a great opportunity to trade this up, 150 pips, somewhere in there. It could take it a couple of days to get there, and that's great. I love a couple of days. And so, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I think this Eurodollar could have in store for us. So probably, okay, not totally true. Eurodollar, and the part that's not totally true here is Eurodollar is not the only dollar pair I'm interested in right now, because I would like to say that I think there's probably some possibility on dollar peso as well. So we've got Eurodollar, and then I think this dollar peso could be an interesting, a really interesting one. If we start to see kind of some, a little bit of dollar strength out of this whole thing, dollar peso might be great. What I want to see happen here is I want to see if this dollar peso can dip down and give us a little bit of a a little bit of a retest of some of these lower levels, right? 1895, 19.0, and then we can start looking at buying into this thing. So I think dollar peso and Eurodollar are the two dollar pairs. I want to see dollar weakness, or excuse me, dollar strength on dollar peso, and I'd like to see dollar weakness on Eurodollar. So those are a couple of things that we're looking for. Those are a few things on the dollar side of things. Kieran, yes, for our group trades, are we leaving open trades as is? Yes, we actually have a nice trade running here on Euro Swiss that's in some pretty good profit at this point. Pretty good profit. We're going to let that run because there's no real specific Euro or Swiss news this morning. And then in another trade group that not all of you guys are in, we have an Aussie CAD trade running that we're going to let sit and cook a little bit as well. So, yep, we're going to let those just kind of play out. Speaking of CAD pairs, I think the CAD Swiss is getting more interesting, and we're going to kind of see So when we're talking, so we talked about the dollar side of things. The news is in just about 2 minutes. We talked about the dollar side of things. Very interested still in CAD Swiss. We've obviously got Aussie CAD running. We've got New Zealand CAD that I think is pretty interesting. We've made pretty good money on this New Zealand CAD, and so that's been awesome. Yeah, we're just gonna watch. We're gonna watch everything. I haven't honestly looked too closely, over the last while at dollar CAD, but we do have a couple of interesting levels on dollar CAD that we'll want to watch for. But I think I'm pretty much more dialed into some of the other CAD pairs, Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD. So let's be prepared for a little bit of volatility, guys. We might see some intense movement here. CAD pairs are more likely to move big than dollar pairs, but anything could happen. So let's just kind of be ready for that. Let's have a look at. We'll just say New Zealand CAD, and we'll watch Euro Dollar. So we're going to watch both of these guys and just kind of see where they go with the coming news that's out in just a moment or two. Numbers will be popping up like crazy. So let's kind of see how and where things go. And take it from there. So here comes some news. A little bit of a spike here on Eurodollar. A little bit of a push higher. New Zealand CAD getting a little bit of a push there. Nothing too major just yet. Let's see how these numbers are looking. As mentioned, I always try to let the numbers play out for a couple of moments. It's pretty volatile and it's pretty tricky where things are kind of going those first couple of minutes. So what we see here, unemployment rate in the U.S. remains unchanged, came out as expected. U.S. employment numbers beat expectations. We had this horrible number last month of 20,000. And then this month, 196. I'm sure that number is going to be revised to some degree. Average earnings are down, so everyone's getting a job. Nobody's making any money. A little bit interesting. Unemployment rate in Canada remains the same, but employment creation, no bueno. So, it seems like Canada and Australia and a couple of those guys really have huge fluctuations. So you see last month's number for Canada was almost 56,000. They were looking for 3,000 a day. Came out with a loss of over 7,000. So there it is. What do you do? So that is kind of how we are looking at everything. 1 second, guys. 1 segundo. What do we have here? Okay, so a little bit of a bump on some of these pairs. Again, not a huge reaction on the dollar side of things. Got a little bit of a spike there. Canada had some slightly worse than expected numbers. We're seeing a little bit of Canadian weakness, so we're getting a bit of movement out of Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, CAD Swiss, and so on. But news is pretty kind of just sitting here. So that's what I'm curious to see how it all plays out here. New Zealand CAD making a little bit of move. Let's look at that dollar peso for a second. Ooh, dollar peso is looking interesting. So, again, dollar peso is getting closer to an area where I'm getting pretty interested in trading it. So we've got dollar peso 19.09 currently. I'd like to get this thing down, down to as low of a level as possible, and potentially start buying into this guy. We've got some some really good levels and some really good targets up here, up at the 19.85 area that I think the dollar peso is going to be able to get to. So. What we're trying to be very, very cautious and careful of, guys, is this time of year, so we're into the first week or so of April. This time of year, we are starting to get into that time where where we get a little bit of that pre-summer push activity. So it can happen now. It can happen in the next couple of weeks, but oftentimes we get a bit of a influx of volume for dollar pairs, and we see specifically dollar pairs make big pushes. Sometime April, usually by May it's totally going and underway, and it takes us into June, and then dollar pairs get kind of choppy again. So we see that happen, and I'm being very cautious about trading dollar pairs right now because I think we have some pretty clear directions, but the Eurodollar and the dollar peso, for example, are two very conflicting directions as far as the dollar goes. So I'm trying to not jump into those too terribly much, and I just want to make sure that we are ready for that action. I have been caught on the wrong side of the pre-summer movement before. I know a lot of people have, where you're in a dollar trade and you're thinking this is really slow and I'm just scalping it and everything's fine, and then all of a sudden the dollar will run 500 pips in a direction, and everyone goes, where did that come from? And that comes from this period right here, which is the pre-summer push. So that's what we want to be cautious of, careful of, aware of, and so on. So let's just kind of make sure we're keeping an eye on that and doing that whole thing. Okay, guys, let's look at this euro dollar for just another second here. Pretty minimal movement, so just a little bit of activity on the euro dollar, and yes, it's not doing much. So what I want to do is just kind of, I think I've got a couple of chart lines set here. I want to know if this thing is starting to break down, because again, I want to get some pretty low impact buy trades on here and be ready to start kind of scaling into this thing. Breaking lower. Time to buy. Sometimes I like to ask myself questions, makes me think. It's always good. So that's what we want to try to kind of keep keep an eye on there, guys. All right. So euro dollar is interesting, but again, pretty kind of minimal movement here on dollar pairs. Okay, so we had a little adjustment in numbers. Let's see. Looks like the only adjustment, U.S. Job numbers went up a little bit from that 20,000 report last month to 33,000. Woo! Otherwise, everything's staying as it was released. So unemployment numbers in the U.S. stay the same. In job creation, Canadian, everything's kind of staying pretty consistent. All right, so that's a little bit of what we've got going on, and that's kind of what we're looking at there. So again, guys, for those of you that aren't regularly in with us, I want to give you guys something to kind of take with you, right? Something that you can use, during the coming week. Eurodollar is definitely one of these, right? So I want to talk to you about that Eurodollar and say, look, if this thing is, going to give us a little bit of movement, the euro has been very laggy lately, very, very slow. But one thing that seems to happen on this pair is it gets down into these lower levels and it really starts to, pick up some buying interest. Not a ton, but it picks up a little bit of buying interest. And so I want you to just watch Eurodollar. Watch this around 11200 to about the 111.75. There's about a 25 pip zone in there that I would say, this is worth, starting to kind of buy against these levels. If you want to be kind of really cautious and careful, buy these dips, right? Buy these dips that are just below 11200. and place stop losses just below probably 111.75, and let this thing run down here. Take some, take some minor risks, and look for some movements up into these upper targets here. I think we could get the Eurodollar back up into the 11300 pretty easily. 113.50 without too much effort should be pretty doable as well. So, so take that with you. Watch that level. Watch this setup going into next week, and and remember that we could have, we could have a pre-summer push starting sooner than later, or later than sooner. It could be anything in there, but a pair like the Eurodollar could be fairly affected by that. And so just be a little bit careful. Be just a little bit careful. But the Eurodollar is going to be one that I'm going to trade. With the group, we're going to trade it very carefully in the week or weeks ahead. But we'll trade it. We'll trade it. We've taken several trades on it over the last several months, and I think we've made money on everything there. Actually, we had one loss on Eurodollar, which is, I think, the only loss I've taken in the last several months. So it's a little tricky, right? You get some of this volatility in here, but I want you guys to watch that. Look for runs up into 11300, 113.50. Eurodollar should be good there. Now, if we start to see a lot of dollar strength, so if you're buying into Eurodollar at 11200 and you see this thing start breaking below 111.75 and even beyond that, then we could be looking at some pretty decent dollar strength, which I'm not convinced we'll get, right? Because there's rumors of potential interest rate cuts and so on, and that's just not dollar rally kind of conditions, but it could be. So if you see that the Eurodollar is starting to show a lot of dollar strength, then jump over here to the dollar peso and start looking for opportunities to buy dollar peso as low as possible, right? Anything below 19.00, we're not that far away from it right now, I'm starting to get interested in buying, right? So we could see bounces off this 19.00, and we could see a bit of a push through there and get this down into the 18.7, 18.8 area. Again, this is just an hourly chart, so it's not too far. So I like this kind of activity here, and I like trading the dollar peso up into 19.85. So $2 pairs that I think need to be watched and looked after carefully. I think those will be good. And yeah, I think that's kind of where I would say to take the bigger overall dollar movement. So yes, non-farm payroll, stable jobs, and yeah, that's absolutely true. That non-farm payroll used to move the market a ton. I've been trading for over 15 years, and I honestly remember my first. I was trading with a group of guys, and they said, "Hey, it's U.S. employment numbers. Let's get ready to go on the currency market." And I remember watching the Eurodollar jump, 300 pips for non-farm payroll. 200 to 300 pips was standard. That was just normal. And as you can see now, we've got quite a bit less. I think we had, maybe 20 pips. So down by 90%, but what do you do? So I'm pretty interested in both of these. Eurodollar, dollar peso, I think there's going to be some good opportunity there, and it's just going to be, where does the dollar decide to go? So that should be good. Canadian pairs, as mentioned, in my other trade group, we've got an Aussie CAD trade going that's, that's coming back around. It's working okay. It was supposed to be a shorter term trade, and it's been dragging out for 2 or 3 days. But still looks like it's running okay. Canadian pairs are kind of just lurking here. We're seeing kind of minor movement here. a little bit of a spike on the CAD Swiss, but recovery there. New Zealand CAD, I think, is a great one. Still trying to kind of make a stab at this 9,000 level. We had a great trade on this one from about 91.60 all the way down to this 9,000 area. We got out right there of our sell trade. Kind of hopped around and moved around a little bit, but turned out to be a really nice little trade. So, heavily on my list are New Zealand CAD still, the Eurodollar, dollar peso. Here's one that I'm not so surprised by, but I'm a little bit bummed by, and that is this guy right here. We set in a trade for quite a little while on this Aussie New Zealand. Got out at this 115.20, 105.15/20 target here, and man, the Aussie New Zealand has just kept on ripping and roaring. We had two targets, and it's definitely going for the second target. That second target was nicely over here at 10. Oops, that's not quite the target, but it's about 105.85. You can see there's about a 106.100 target. Looks like it's headed for that, making a nice little move. But we grabbed some great. I'm definitely not bummed about the 160 pips we grabbed on this trade, but it's continuing to rock and roll. But I am very, very anxious to get back in to Aussie New Zealand long. So very, very happy about the trade we got, and very anxious to get back into this. One of the reasons I got out of this trade, for those of you that have a scanner, that have the scanner, if you're in the scanner group or you have the scanner software, the scanner program, the Aussie New Zealand has quite a good bar count on this 30-minute chart. And so that's why I thought it's getting a little tiny bit overbought. I love the trend and I love the direction, but I thought it's getting a little bit overbought. I'm going to take some profit here. And we took, we took some great profit. We've had many great trades on this Aussie New Zealand, and it's finally starting to go. We're just looking for a little bit of pullback here, and we're going to be buying into this thing. This was a trade, I sent this trade out to everybody, and I said, hey, jump in on the Aussie New Zealand with us. We're in at 10300 area and 10400 area, and get in some buy trades. Hopefully a lot of you guys got that email, and the trade worked out and has been working out very, very nicely. So anyways, a couple of trades I'm looking for. We'll still be buying into this Aussie New Zealand, and getting some good bucks out of that as we go, and we'll be buying into the Eurodollar. Hopefully, we'll be getting and or some dips on dollar peso. So these are all trades that I'm interested, that I'm liking, that I want to get in on. Yes, good. All right, glad JS. Glad you got some dollar or some Aussie New Zealand. It was a real good trade, and we did good on that one. Yes, Corey. Yep. Aussie CAD's got some targets below and so on. Absolutely. So that's kind of what we're looking for, guys. That's a little bit of what we have in the works. So this is a little bit of a mixed webinar. Usually, with group members, I'll talk about a few more specifics that we did during the week, and some lessons we learned and so on. Since this is a little bit more of a group webinar, we've got all of our good friends from all over the place in. We're going to talk just more about a couple of trades that we're excited about getting into, and a little less about what we did this week and what we learned this week. And we'll save that for the I'll save that for the Monday webinar for group members. But I want to talk to all of you guys today about just giving you a couple of trades that you can work with and take with you for the week ahead. And so it's a little bit, we're covering a little bit of different material today than we normally would on our Friday webinars. So anybody that's new and on with us and thinking, What about what we did this week? We will talk in great detail about that on Monday. I promise you. But like I said, I just want to give you guys a couple of trades you can work with. Aussie New Zealand running like a champ should be another great buy opportunity. Hopefully down in the somewhere below 10500. We can start buying into that again for bigger targets into 10800. So I really like that trade. I think that's going to be a good one, and that's made us quite a bit of profit. I think we've had, if memory serves, I think we have had how many Aussie New Zealand trades have we had over the last little while? It's been quite at least a couple. So there's our 160 pip Aussie New Zealand. There was we got a little 20 pipper out of there. 58 pip plus an additional 18 pip trade. So Aussie New Zealand there's 145 pips. I mean, this thing has just paid us out time and time again. All right, I think that's it felt like we've traded this thing 25 times, but it looks like we've traded it 4 or 5 times in the last 2 months or so, and it's just been awesome. So what a great trade. What a good mover. Okay, guys. So that's what I'm looking for on a couple of those. What do you guys have? How is everybody's trading going so far? I kind of want to hear from you guys. I'm always the one talking so much, and I never hear back from you guys because I never take a breath. I've learned how to do that circular breathing where I just talk nonstop. How's trading going for you guys? How and specifically, what are some setups that you guys are trading and watching and looking at? I mean, what are some favorite pairs? Tell me what you guys are loving. Okay, dollar yen. Got some dollar yen. Dollar yen's on the radar from time to time. I wouldn't say it's majorly on my radar right this moment, but I like the dollar yen. When it moves, it can really move. Right now, we've seen this dollar yen for at least the last, geez, has it been that long? 2 years. It's been in this big sideways channel, and I've kind of been on and off. I've talked about the dollar yen and said, let's get the big movements up or big movements down. And while this thing's in the middle of this channel, I don't know which direction I feel like I think it's going to go. So could be interesting. I think dollar anything is going to have some pretty good movement coming up. But yeah, while this is in that sideways channel, I think it's got some good potential to do this and some good potential to do some of that. So we'll watch and wait and see if we can find some shorter term confirmation and see where that goes. Could be an interesting trade for sure. Okay, JS Euro New Zealand longs. So here's the deal with Euro New Zealand. If you get on the right side of this trade, there's probably nothing better to trade. Probably nothing at all that's better to trade. But man, this thing is unforgiving. If you're on the wrong side of it, it's so crazy. But Euro New Zealand's looking good. I like the longs. We've definitely had some channeling here that has broken out, which is nice. So that makes it, mouse is stuck. That makes it really good, really interesting for sure. The only thing that I would say about Euro New Zealand is just be a little bit careful about some of these kind of vulnerable areas, right? It doesn't have too many missed targets or anything down in here, but we're starting to see some of this stuff, right? And some of this stuff here where we're saying it might be getting a little tiny bit overextended in the short term. So we have a couple of kind of medium-term targets that I would say could cause a little bit of pullback. Very small pullback there, slightly bigger pullback at a daily pivot, slightly bigger pullback, slightly bigger pullback. So just kind of keep an eye on that. But I think buying some dips on Euro New Zealand looks really good. I am in full support of New Zealand weakness, and I really think it's time for the euro to move. So I like Euro New Zealand a lot. Good trade, JS. Nice. Thanks for bringing that one up. Good. Mel had a couple of buy trades in Eurodollar yesterday that were both negative. Took profit this morning. Good, Mel. I like that, man. That's excellent. Great. Jim, Euro Swiss on first setup up 22 pips. Yeah, our Euro Swiss has been slow and steady, but it's doing some good work there. The Euro Swiss, by the way, if some of you are wondering what we're talking about here, Euro Swiss was a scanner group trade, and we got in because we had a beautiful bar count. We got into this thing probably a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know. It's been a little while. We've been sitting in this thing for quite a while. I think it's been 2 weeks actually. We had a 30-minute bar count that started us in the trade. So we got an entry at 112.15 to buy. That went against us a little bit, and we bought in again at 111.70. So 111.70 was our last buy entry, which wasn't too bad because we pretty much got that thing at the absolute bottom, and it's running nicely. So our 111.70 is up 60 plus pips, and our more recent entry, or excuse me, our first entry is up, 20 pips or so. So great little trade. This is what happens in the scanner group. Sometimes we look for really shorter term trades, and they just go slow and they drag on. Like the case with the Aussie CAD. But we don't let anything go too crazy, and we always, almost always come out making money out of that. So that's turned out to be a really, really nice trade. We're in some great profit on that, and we'll just let that thing keep on cooking. So yes, Euro Swiss, excellent trade. Corey, did someone say GBP? Corey, I mean, you might as well just, call me ugly, because that's almost offensive around here. But no, it's not too bad. The GBP, the pound pairs, and for those of you that are just visiting us today, we have been very careful about trading pound pairs. In fact, we've been so careful about trading pound pairs, we haven't traded pound pairs at all. So that's how careful we have been about the pound pairs. Hey, Dorothy, good. 51 pips. Profit on that Euro Swiss. Good job. I love it. So pound pairs are, I would say that they're on my naughty list a little bit. Mostly because, as you look at this kind of stuff here, here are so many of, this is what so many of the pound pairs have been doing for, for months, right? And they give us these big wild spikes. But, here's the thing. I have talked to a lot of traders that are saying, hey, I know I shouldn't be trading pound pairs because there's a lot of unexpected stuff happening, but I'm making money on them. At the end, that's the goal, right? Are we making money or are we not making money? And, even though these pound pairs have just been sideways, choppy, wild, tough to get anything out of, which is why I'm staying out of them. If you're making money on them, the only thing that I would say is to just be extra careful. You can't really predict when, there's a lot of announced Brexit news reports. There's going to be a parliament vote, or there's going to be this or that, and it's on the calendar, and we can expect that. We can say, okay, I'll just be out of the trade when the news hits. But there's definitely a lot of unexpected stuff, and that unexpected stuff, what gets us into trouble in trading is the things that we don't know and the things that we can't know, right? And we can't expect some of these surprise announcements. And I think I'm greedy because I just love money too much, and I don't want to give up money for something that is so likely to have unexpected surprises. Again, I know a lot of traders that are making money trading pound pairs, and I haven't touched them. I just haven't touched them because I don't want to get filleted on on a surprise movement, a surprise reaction kind of a thing. So but they're moving well, and sort of well, not great, but they're definitely moving. So, what are you thinking, Corey? What pound pair were you liking in particular? And I'd love to hear what other trades are you guys liking, and you know, I want to hear the commentary. Let's talk about it. But while you're thinking of your currency pairs, guys, there is some good stuff, some great things to be looking at. One thing that I want to invite everybody to do here is everybody that is not a member, because obviously if you're a member of the trade group, we have open enrollments about twice a year in the trade group. But one thing that I've been doing a little bit lately is I just want to get to know traders a little bit better. And so I have this application form right here. This isn't any kind of form to sign up for the group. This is just answer a couple of questions like your name and your email address and your phone number and how long you've been trading and and all that stuff. And go to this link, guys. If you're not a member of the trade group, go to this link, and it will lead to a quick phone call with me. We can chat about a couple of things and talk about stuff. This isn't going to be a sales pitch. It isn't going to be anything. It's going to be, let's discuss, how your trading's going and what we do in the trade group. And maybe our trade group's a great fit for you. Maybe it's not. But go to that link that I just sent you there. It is dtfx.co/application form. And it's just, it's just to get a little bit of information, talk. We'll share a few things. We'll talk a little bit about the trade group. And if you find it might be helpful for you, then we can talk about some options you have there. But for those of you that are in the trade group, how is your experience going? Is everybody making some money? Are you guys having a profitable experience? Is your account headed in the right direction, or not? Are we having hard times? I mean, how's things going with everybody that is currently in the trade group? Anybody having a positive experience? Anybody having a negative experience? It's always the moment of truth. Kieran, slow and steady. Where are you located, Kieran, by the way? U.S. based, or that sounds, there we go, Michigan. All right, excellent. Gerhard, you've only been with us for 10 years. Positive, all positive. Hey, Lester, heading in the right direction. Good. Picking up profit speed, Bob. I love it. Slow and good. All right. Good, guys. Good. So these are all things to kind of think about. But I would love to. I'd love to talk to some of you new guys and gals and discuss a little bit more of what we do and how we do it. So. Carl, more positive than I would have believed. Oh, that's great, Carl. I'm glad to hear it. Kevin, learning immensely from your patience. Thank you, my friend. That's great. Mel, since I joined this year, I have not had a losing trade. I don't expect them all to be positive, but good start. That's true. We will have a losing trade somewhere in there, I'm sure. But yeah, we have a pretty, I'd say our win ratio is somewhere in the mid 90%. So it's pretty good. Kieran, I ended up accidentally muting Telegram alerts and hence missed out on timely signals. That'll do it. Yeah, that might be why the growth has been a little slower. Yeah, no worries. Dorothy, good guidance. Trades are up. Excellent. George, you understand market imbalances. That's great, man. It's a really important one. Corey, your account is up more than 35% in 8 months. Well, Corey, that's what we call pretty darn fantastic. Corey has shared some dollar amount results with me, and they've been pretty impressive. So I have to say, Corey, I will be decently surprised if you haven't told your boss adios yet. But I get it, gotta have some backup there. But I'm sure, Corey, you're making more money trading than you're making at your day job by probably a decent amount. So good for you. Great work, man. So yeah, we have a great group here. It's a good bunch of people from all over the world, all trade levels, all everything, and it's really awesome. So I love the trade group. It's been hard this week. I've been traveling and on spring break, having some fun with the family and kids, and I haven't been able to be as active in the group as I wanted. But I realized I missed it. I really love getting up every morning and going to bed every night. Checking on trades and making sure everyone's kind of on the right track, and we have a great situation. So. Anyways, guys, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're going to do. Once again, for those that have not yet done it, go to that right in the chat there. Just click on that application form. I'm not going to spam you. I'm not going to harass you. I'm not going to pass you off to some sales floor to try to get money out of you. It's just me. It'll be me talking to you on the phone. That's it for 10 minutes. And trust me, it won't be much longer than that because my crazy schedule is a little bit busy. So you might get a 5 or 10 minute call out of me. I'd love to chat with you and talk to you about the trade group. Anyways, click on that link. Let's get in contact. Otherwise, guys, you've got a couple of trades to look at. The trades that I mentioned, like the Aussie New Zealand, New Zealand CAD, Eurodollar, dollar peso, and more, are going to be a few of many of the trades that we're going to trade in the group. And, I will have extensive analysis and details on those various trades along with several others as we go and as we trade through those. So if you guys would like to, participate in that, well, let's talk. Let's chat. Otherwise, I think that's it, guys. I think that's it for me. We've been going for about an hour straight. I think my voice box is ready to call it good, call it a weekend. Any final thoughts, guys, before we go, before we wrap it up? Any questions, any burning questions anybody wanted to ask that didn't have the chance? Just go ahead and type it in. Otherwise, we'll leave it at that, and I will wish everybody a super duper happy weekend, and wish you guys all a great Friday, Saturday, Sunday coming up. And for members, we'll be back in live Monday morning. I'll be back home and I'll have some more stable internet, so that'll be great. And very much looking forward to all of that. So thanks, everybody. Great to be with you all. Great to see everyone, all of our new friends and old friends visiting from around the world. Great to see you guys. Take care, everybody. And I will see you all on Monday. Thanks, guys. Hope to have some of you guys on my call list for next week to have a 5 or 10 minute phone call. So that'll be great. Well, up 10% since January. Well, there you go. There you go. That's great. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. Good to see you, Amy. Good to see everybody. All right. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.